Over the past few years, I've worked with SaaS companies spending $10K a month on ads all the way up to $500K per month. So I know what the media mix should look like for companies that are just starting out with advertising and those that are massively scaling. And the biggest mistake that I see B2B founders make when they're trying to scale their ads is that they don't really have a plan. They're just throwing more money at what they've seen already work. The problem is that what works at 10K a month doesn't necessarily work at scale. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the complete blueprint for scaling B2B SaaS ads profitably. I'll show you the 3 stages of scaling, what platforms to focus on, what campaigns to set up, and how to avoid the costly mistakes that end up killing most companies' ROI. Before I get to the 3 stages of scaling, here are some prerequisites you should have before you think about scaling your ads. A clearly defined ICP, or ideal customer profile. Product market fit, so a product that people are already paying you for and they are already getting value from. Message market fit, so you should have an understanding of what messaging you think will resonate with your ICP. You should have landing pages that have already proven the ability to convert cold traffic who aren't familiar with your brand into paying customers. Ideally, this isn't your homepage. You should have effective conversion tracking to understand which key actions people are taking on your site. And finally, you should have a clear CAC target. You should understand what you can afford to pay for a customer and where that ceiling is. Okay, now let's talk about stage 1. So this is you're spending less than 10K per month. You probably don't have all the things that I just listed as the prerequisites. This is your proving ground. This is where you are trying to figure all those things out before you end up spending more when you scale. So in stage 1, you simply don't have that much budget to play with. So you're really limited in terms of what channels you can be spending on. I would think of it as having one primary channel and maybe a secondary channel that you're also exploring. So for most B2B companies at this stage, their primary channel will either be LinkedIn or Google, and their secondary channel will be either LinkedIn or Google. And this will really depend on what your product is and whether you have a lot of existing search traffic. Let's say you have a product with a lot of existing search traffic. It's a known commodity. It's something like bookkeeping software or payroll software. These are things that people are regularly searching for on Google. Google might be a good fit for you for your primary channel. If you don't have a product that a lot of people are searching for, or maybe your product is just really unique and people kind of need to see it to understand that they have a need for it, then maybe LinkedIn is a better primary channel. Whichever of those you don't choose, you can think about allocating, let's say, 20% of your budget to that as a secondary channel. So if we use the payroll software as an example, let's say 80% of our budget goes to Google and 20% of our budget is used on LinkedIn to build awareness amongst our ABM list. So this is the list of top 100 accounts or companies that we want to know about our product. So while we're capturing demand on Google, we're also getting in front of the companies we think are great fits and building our awareness in that market. So from a tactical point of view, on Google, you're probably looking at a branded search campaign and a non-branded search campaign. And on LinkedIn, you're probably looking at a retargeting campaign where you can retarget site visitors, and also that ABM campaign that I mentioned where you're getting in front of your dream clients. From a creative standpoint on LinkedIn, I would think about developing 5 different messaging angles, and then for each of those angles developing, let's say, 5 ads, so you have 25 ads and those ads can compete. An example of a messaging angle could be your product saving someone time versus saving someone money. A certain angle might appeal to one person and not at all to another person, so it's important to have some variety in your messaging. You'll know you're ready to scale when your CAC is below your target threshold. So now let's talk about stage 2, which is scaling what works and expanding to new channels. So you're now spending $10K per month, and you're probably going to want 2 primary channels, let's say Google and LinkedIn, and also a secondary channel, which is typically going to be something like Meta. In this scenario, Google and LinkedIn are your bread and butter. Let's say they're getting 80% of your budget, and Meta is your secondary channel. It's getting 20% of budget, and you're doing some retargeting to take advantage of cheap CPMs, but you're also doing some light prospecting. So for Google, you already had a branded search campaign and a non-branded search campaign. Now would be a good time to layer on, let's say, a PMax campaign where you can try to get additional scale outside of what people are searching. PMax is Google's more algorithmic targeting. It serves across a variety of Google-owned surfaces like YouTube and Gmail, but it also serves on partner sites. On LinkedIn, you were already running an ABM campaign and a retargeting campaign. Now you're probably going to want to layer on a prospecting campaign. So maybe you're targeting people by their industry and their job seniority, and maybe even some skills and keywords they have listed on their profile. And for Meta, I'd recommend setting up a retargeting campaign for people who visited your website, but also a prospecting campaign targeting a 1% lookalike of your customer list. This allows you to take advantage of your first-party data and access people you may not be reaching on Google or LinkedIn. And like I said, after stage 1, you are ready to scale when that CAC is coming in below your target threshold. Okay, on to stage 3, which is where you're going to want to make your ICP feel like you are everywhere. They log into LinkedIn. They see your ads. They are on Instagram late at night. They see your ads. Maybe they're on Reddit. They see your ads. YouTube. You get the picture. You want to be omnipresent for them because in a way, this signals legitimacy and it also just keeps you top of mind. Most B2B buyers aren't in the market currently. So you want to make sure that when that time comes for them, you are the company and brand that they think about. Like if you're spending $50K or $100K. So your media mix here is really going to depend on your product and how much you're spending. But a typical company in stage 3 may be looking at 3 primary channels, which for most companies would be Google, LinkedIn, and Meta, and then multiple secondary channels like Reddit or X or Display or a CTV provider like Vibe.co. Google, LinkedIn, and Meta here are getting, let's say, 80% of your budget, and then you're using 20% of your budget to experiment on the other channels to see what sticks. So for Google, you might expand by having your branded search campaign, but then a bunch of different non-brand search campaigns based on either different segments of your ICP or highlighting different use cases of your product, and then having a PMax campaign or multiple PMax campaigns to expand your reach beyond what people are searching. So for LinkedIn, you'll have your retargeting campaign, you'll have your ABM campaign, maybe multiple ABM campaigns, and then you'll have your prospecting campaigns, which again can be broken out by different feature sets or different subsegments of your ICP. And in this scenario, let's say we're advertising on Reddit and we're doing some retargeting to our site visitors and anyone who interacts with our Reddit ads. And then prospecting, you can target things like communities that are relevant to your product or interests, or one of my favorites is keywords. So things that people are searching or content they're interacting with that may be related to your product. And then maybe you want to layer in a more experimental channel, something like CTV, Vibe.co. That's something that would allow you to retarget your site visitors, but also prospect on either streaming channels that are relevant to your ICP or use interest and behavior targeting that are relevant to your ICP. And then maybe you want to test out a more experimental channel, something like Vibe.co, which allows you to advertise on streaming channels like Hulu or CNN. So with something like this, you'd probably want to retarget your site visitors, but also prospect on a targeted list of channels that likely appeal to your ICP, or target via interests, behaviors, and demographics. So again, you're ready to scale when you're acquiring users below your CAC threshold. So that's how to scale B2B SaaS ads in 2026. Make sure you understand your customer, you get your media mix dialed in, and you use your budget efficiently on each channel. So understanding all of this and having a roadmap is much different than actually executing it. Scaling profitably requires platform expertise, creative systems, and having done this enough times to really understand what works for B2B SaaS. If you want help auditing where you're at currently and building a plan to profitably scale your ad spend, we will help you lower your CAC by 20 to 50% by generating new ad creative for you, managing your ad accounts, and also fine-tuning your landing pages so that they're converting cold traffic at a high rate. So if that sounds like something that could benefit you, click the link in the description, book a call, and let's scale your ads the right way.